epic conclusion to the Torah, or the first 5 books of the Bible, is found in Deuteronomy. Long believed to have been written by Moses, the book of Deuteronomy is often referred to or called the second law or the repeated law. And if you've been following along with the story of God's people, you could see why Moses would need to repeat certain things to the Israelites. I mean, God sets his people free, the Israelites. They spend 1 year at Mount Sinai where they make a covenant with God to obey all the commands. Then they wander in the desert for 40 years before they make it to the Jordan River, right across from the land that God promised them. But even with all of that, it's a new generation who need to hear once again what God was expecting of them. And that's why the words hear or listen are used over 50 times in this book. And what this book is really is a speech that took place over the course of 1 month before Moses died. I know, spoiler alert, Moses dies. Moses gives these words like a pep talk to a new generation of Israel that's about to go into the promised land. And the speech is broken up into 3 sections. A review of God's goodness, chapters 1 through 4, a reminder of what God expects, chapters 5 through 26, and a promise of what God will do, chapters 27 through 34. And in the first section, Moses begins with a somber tone, addressing and highlighting Israel's rebellion and resistance towards God, which sets up Moses to challenge this new generation to be different from their parents and to respond to God's grace with love and obedience. So what does Moses do? Well, he reminds them or repeats all of the things that God had already spoken to them. He reminds them of the 10 Commandments and declares one of the most important scriptures over the people of God. Listen, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk around the road, when you lie down, and when you get up. Right there, Moses stays true to the heart of this book. He reminds them of what God has already said and gives the Israelites instructions on what they should do for the generations behind them. Listen and love so you can impress this into your children. In the second section, we see a large block of laws and commands, and this is where the name second law comes from. And that's because many of these laws we've heard before. And what Moses does is he expands and makes these laws relevant to the new generation. After going through all of the laws, Moses warns the people of the consequences of their obedience. You see, if they listen and love, they will experience a blessing and an abundance in the land. But if they don't, there's going to be famine and plagues, and they'll be forced off their land into exile. And that brings us to the final section of his speech. Right here, Moses sets before the people a choice and they need to make, and he pleads by saying, choose life. But when you spend a lot of time with people, 40 years wandering the desert, you kind of get a sense of whether or not they're truly taking what you're saying to heart. So Moses focuses on what he believes is the true source of their problem. The Israelites have hard and selfish hearts. Can you imagine being in front of millions of people and calling them out like that? But this problem is not unique to the Israelites. It's really a window into the universal human condition that goes all the way back to the beginning of Genesis with Adam and Eve. But even after this moment, Moses doesn't give up hope. He declares that somehow on the other side of Israel's exile, God promises to transform their hearts so that one day they can truly listen and love. And in the final chapters of Deuteronomy, we see that Joshua is now appointed as the new leader of Israel. Moses takes the Ark of the Covenant up to the mountains so that he can see the promised land from a distance, and then he dies. And that's how the Torah ends, which is a strange place to end a story. However, if you can look past the ending of this story and put yourself into the story, you get a glimpse into what God is trying to do. He's bringing his people, you and I, to a point where we must decide to believe in God's promises and in turn, see the hard hearts inside of us be transformed by God into a heart that can truly listen and love and step into our promised land. The invitation for us is the same as it was for them. Choose life.